say, let's get her done. Oh, yeah. Good morning, everyone. It is 8 o'clock on Saturday morning, September 18th. And I had scheduled this YouTube Live a few days ago. So if somebody actually shows up this time of the morning, well, congratulations and thank you very much. It is, today is, of course, my, the day of the birthday party for my godson. We are having his third birthday party today. And for the third year in a row, I have promised to deliver a giant chocolate chip cookie to the party. And that's why I am doing this now at 8 o'clock on a Saturday morning, because on one hand, giant chocolate chip cookies are very, very easy to make, but especially because they don't have any preservatives in them, they do tend to dry up pretty quickly. And if I had made this last night and let it sit, for instance, by this morning, it would have been hard as a rock, and that is not what we're looking for. So that's why I had to do this fresh this morning. So anyway, thank you very much to anyone and everyone who might be watching. This is the first step in preparing a giant cookie, in that I've learned from making these things that, really all you need to do is throw your chocolate chips into the batter, but I find it really, really kicks it up a notch to actually chop up some solid chocolate and mix this in as well, because what it tends to do is, while it's baking, these little tiny chocolate crumbs here, they tend to melt and form a very, very thick and gooey and delicious chocolate center, which no one has complained about yet. That's why I've made it a standard part of making this cookie in the recipe. You don't have to do that. You can just go and just add chocolate chips, and no one's really going to mind. I mean, who doesn't like big chocolate chip cookies? This is just taking it a step extra, or as Emerald says, kick it up a notch, which I'm more than happy to do for my godson. Anyway, hi there, and as I mentioned, welcome again to another time where I get to play with my toys, because there will indeed be some cast iron in this video. That's the whole point here. I will be making a giant pizza-sized chocolate chip cookie, and it is so easy to do this. Really, it's like, I'm sure you see, if you go to Wally World, in their bakery section, they usually sell these so-called giant cookies that are maybe 10 inches across, the size of a number 8 cast iron skillet. Or they might even be larger. And what do they sell for? $9, $12, $15? Whereas the ingredients we're using here, I doubt it even comes to 1/3 of that price, and that includes the cost of all this chocolate, mind you. I mean, I got myself a 7-ounce Hershey bar for $2.50 at Wally World, and it's been in the freezer so that it's nice and cold and easy to chop up. And then, of course, in addition to this, we're using a 12-ounce bag of chocolate chips. Semi-sweet chocolate chips versus milk chocolate here for the chopping up. And the chocolate is almost certainly the most expensive ingredient, because other than that, all we have are your very basic ingredients here: flour, sugar, brown sugar, baking soda, a couple of eggs, kosher salt, and vanilla extract. Oh yeah, that's one other thing. On Saturday morning, it also happens to be time to shake my vanilla. So lucky you folks, you get to watch me shake my vanilla on cam. I hope I don't get kicked off of YouTube for exposing my vanilla to you like this. I've been doing this for a few years now. I make homemade vanilla extract because, well, number one, it is a huge cost savings from buying it in the store. And number two, I constantly have a pretty much unlimited supply of the best vanilla extract on the planet, if I may say so. This is actually spiced rum mixed in with a whole bunch of vanilla beans, and it's been fermenting. And I set my phone alarm so that at 8 o'clock every Saturday morning, I come into the kitchen and shake my vanilla here. This time I happen to be shaking it on cam. Because, in order to keep it well circulated. And that's really about all I have to do, about once a week or so. I do it at 8 o'clock on Saturday morning because it's convenient. I have been an early riser my whole life, so I don't have any problem at all doing that at 8 o'clock on a Saturday morning. And we are almost, careful, we are almost done chopping the chocolate, and then we get down to the rest of our business. Now, as I mentioned, it's the third year, yay. This I've been able to treat my godson's family to a giant cookie, and they all seem to like it because when I said I was going to do another cookie, I got some positive response to that. I do this cookie and bring it in and reveal it right at the beginning when all the guests arrive, largely because I don't want to compete with the chocolate, with the birthday cake. I mean, the birthday cake is the reason why we're all supposed to be there, especially since it's sorry, Mama Bear, but it's a store-bought cake. So it's entirely possible this may be better than the birthday cake, which again is why I do not want to compete with that. I mean, after all, it's his party, not mine. So I am more than happy to just be able to contribute. Anyway, once we're done here, this will all go back into the freezer to chill again, so that this will be nice and solid and will not start melting. The oven is preheating, or preheated by now, to 325 degrees. I did forget one thing. Excuse me. Sorry, trouble. Yeah. The oven is preheating to 325 degrees because, especially when baking a cookie of that size, you've got to do it low and slow. We don't want to burn it or end up with a burned outside versus a still soft and moist inside. And once this all goes in here, into the freezer it will go, and then we will get down to the business of actually mixing up the cookie. So anyway, hi, good morning, William Hurt. Good morning, Jose Latios, if I'm pronouncing this right. Just got to work and thought I'd drop in. Quick 4-hour day and bring on the college football Saturday. Yeah, it sounds like you're having fun. And hello, Angel Grant as well. Good morning. Welcome to a Saturday morning cast iron baking show here, where we have already chopped ourselves up some chocolate. There we go. And into the freezer it goes, and I'll be back in just a few seconds. Still got a little bit of chocolate on my hands. Gotta wash that off. Make sure you're nice and clean when you work with food. And now we can get down to the next step. This will go aside. And the next step is bring out a nice huge bowl. I'm reminded of this sports announcer from NPR, mind you, not any of these sports stations, but NPR had several years ago, they had one of their regular reporters who did sports news, and I always liked the way he pronounced it, bowls. See, it's not just bowls. He always puffed his cheeks up full of air so that when he pronounces bees, it would explode. And so he was always talking about the college bowls. And so here we are with my bowl. Anyway, I don't have this recipe memorized yet. I'm bringing it up very quickly. And it's down here somewhere. Come on, hurry up. Here we are. Good. And we get out 3 cups of AP flour. Not cake flour, just your standard all-purpose flour. That's what I mean. It is that easy to make a cookie. There's really, yes, I am dissing Wally World because, well, that, frankly, in this case, they deserve it. You do not have to go and buy your giant cookie. I mean, this is so easy, anybody can make it. Not everybody has a cast iron pan, no, but just about anybody should have a baking sheet or a casserole dish, or be able to just roll out or, spread out a couple of sheets of thick aluminum foil. All you have to do is spread that's 3 cups. All you have to do is spread the batter out on that and bake it. It is really, really that easy to make yourself a giant cookie. Okay. And after that, we also throw in 1.5 teaspoons of baking soda. Excuse me 1 second. Sorry, of course, work would have to show up already. What else is new? Okay. Let me just do this. He did not waste any time. I had no choice, comma. I actually have something important to do right now, full stop. Fortunately, comma, it has been a very quiet night, full stop. Okay, now let's get back to that. Where was I? Oh yeah, 1.5 cups. No, not cups. 1.5. Where did that go? 1.5 teaspoons of baking soda. Sorry for the delay here, but that's why I am not a professional baker or professional anything else either. 1, 2, 3. 3 half teaspoons. 1.5 teaspoons of baking soda. Then from here we put in just 1/2 teaspoon of kosher salt. Kosher salt is really nice because of its shape. I mean, that's the main reason why people love it so much. It's large and granular, and it's actually, it doesn't completely dissolve, and you can taste a very, very slight, very nice savory bit to it. And one other ingredient that I like using, especially for these things that I think should be used more in baking, like cakes and cookies and pies, and that is cream of tartar, which I know we've all heard of, yet it's not really used very often. What does cream of tartar actually do? It's actually like you could call it a solidifier, in that, especially if you use it in things like meringue or cakes, adding a little bit of cream of tartar will actually help make it more solid and less likely to fall as it bakes. With a cookie, that also does help, so that you've got a better shape for it. Work is replying okay, and that is that. So now the other important thing to do with our dry ingredients, that is, we have to whisk them together. It took me a long time before I understood that whisking your dry ingredients is an essential step. This is very, very important. It helps to incorporate air into your batter. You will have a more light and fluffy type of batter and less dense and solid. And so I make a point now of always whisking my dry ingredients, cakes, cookies, pie doughs, what have you. This is easy to do, and I very much encourage folks to do so. It is really just common baking sense, which I know took me a long time to learn it, and I think that I'm not the only one. However, anybody who's here, I hope you already know this bit of common sense. And there we go. Boy, that sure was hard, wasn't it? Food porn. Yes, exactly. Yeah, because as you know, my website was actually blocked by my work firewall for the category of pornography. oh, I can't eat anything like this because I'm diabetic. Well, my condolences. But hey, there's no reason why you can't watch. I like to watch. President Santa, sorry I'm late. Well, Santa, you're not late. You're about 3 months early. After all, don't you usually show up on Christmas Eve? So, this isn't something I could eat. I love watching people make this all and all the delicious things I can't eat. Well, sorry if you feel like you have to torture yourself like this, but well, hey, I'm more than happy to help you. William Hurt, yeah, we said that already. Good morning, William Hurt. Okay, so we've done our dry ingredients, which means now we just move this aside. Put it over here, out of the way so that the cats don't spill it. Yeah, if you don't know already, my one cat in particular, he definitely lives up to his name. And now we get to break out a nice vintage Pyrex bowl for our wet ingredients. And here is where we bring in 8 ounces of unsalted butter softened. That's 2 sticks. Well, fortunately, I've already softened this butter a little bit in a little cast iron skillet here. This, in fact, once we get this in, okay, yeah, that's definitely soft, all right. This, in fact, is a Birmingham Stove and Range, not just a number 3, but in fact, it is a somewhat rare piece they made in the 30s to maybe the 1940s, and that is a 3S skillet. For a brief period of time, they produced these particular pans, especially to compete with one of their competitors, and I don't believe it was Lodge Cast Iron. I don't think the name of the competitor has been uncovered by research, but nonetheless, their competitor was producing this line of pans or dishes or something, and they put out these ones that are shaped the same size as their competitor. They're just a little bit smaller than their own pans. And so because of that tiny difference, collectors now who have recently started getting an interest in BSR have started pushing the S series. And so even now on eBay, you can go onto eBay and find a rare 3S or 5S or 7S skillet. As usual, selling for ridiculous prices. I managed to actually find this one for $5. At Brimfield, no less. So, I guess you could have called that a lucky score. Anyway, back to this here. So we've done 8 ounces of softened butter. Now we get to throw in our brown sugar. This is going to use a combination of brown sugar and white sugar. The difference is, of course, is that if you use more brown sugar than white sugar, you get more of a chewy cookie. And if you get more white sugar than brown sugar, you get more of a cakey cookie. And especially here, everybody loves the chewy cookies. So we are doing 1 1/4. Brum, brum. 1 1/4 cups of brown sugar. 1, 2, 3, 4, and no, I'm not even leveling it off. That's how easy it is to make a cookie. 5, and after, okay, cover up the brown sugar. I make a point of using kind of like a airtight container with brown sugar for obvious reasons. Other than that, we now get to throw in 3/4 of a cup of regular granulated sugar. So that's a total of 2 cups of sugar. 1, 2, 3. There we go. Now that we've done that, of course, we're going to have to cream together the butter and sugar. Here's where you can bring out a mixer, but you actually really don't have to. It really is that easy. You can just simply mix it all together, especially if the butter is softened, which has always been one of my weak points here. I've actually preferred making all of these cookies by hand, and they've turned out just fine. Even though I have not regularly used a mixer on this, I have not really had any difficulty at all. Besides, adding the eggs to this will add a little bit more liquid and make it easier to mix all of this together anyway. So all I really need is just a very basic mix, and then we can just throw in the rest of our wet ingredients, and there aren't very many. Yet another thing about making a homemade cookies is that it's so easy. I mean, you know, there are only very few basic ingredients to use, and that's why this should not take much longer already. Now that we've done this much, okay, next up is 2 eggs, which I have been sitting here to bring to room temperature. Careful here, don't want any shell. That's 1. And now comes number 2. The way I find myself cracking an egg is I actually move the cracked part up top, squirt, and then kind of like pull it apart, and that seems to do a good job opening up the egg, and there's less of a chance of getting shell in there. So now that we've got our eggs in, we can mix all that in, and it should incorporate nicely and give more of a wet type of batter here. There we go. It's already starting to do that. So that means this will all mix together without any real difficulty. There may still be a few clumps of butter left in the batter, but that really won't be a problem because even that will just melt as the cookie bakes. There we go. Now we're starting to get somewhere. And so far I'm only using my spatula as well. I have a whisk, but I haven't even used that yet, although maybe I will in just a moment or so. And meanwhile, Jose, I saw you using Barkeeper's Friend on Wednesday, and I've heard so many good things about it. I bought some, and that stuff is so very effective. Oh, isn't it, though? Yeah, don't use it on seasoned cast iron, especially because it's so effective. But if you're cleaning up and stripping cast iron, especially rusty cast iron, Barkeeper's Friend is really something that they should call cast iron restoring friend, I guess. Yeah, again, I know that Barkeeper's Friend specifically has a warning of not to use it on bare cast iron, but again, they're talking about seasoned cast iron because it will definitely ruin the seasoning on a pan. And then you will have to strip it completely and re-season it. But as I said, as a rust remover for completely bare pans, Barkeeper's Friend is essential. It is really, really great, and I highly recommend it for that reason. It's also cheap. All right, we are almost done already. Let's just get rid of this extra residue. Try a little bit of whisking. And that will be about it. All right, I need to get myself a better whisk. This is your basic wire whisk, which works okay, but the spring handle leaves something to be desired. Now, as I said, I know there are, maybe I'll go, I think for this reason, I think I will go back to that spatula. So much for that. Oh, well, it's only a little bit here. As I said, I know there are little pieces of butter still in there. That won't be a problem because, again, it will melt as it bakes. And yeah, you can't help sampling the batter as well. And having done that, the last thing is, well, vanilla extract. So, vanilla extract. Okay, why am I not seeing it? Oh, there it is. Yeah. Even though I shook my vanilla in front of you, I'm not using that vanilla. Basically, I've just got your typical container of vanilla extract, and when this thing gets low enough, I fill it up with vanilla from here, and from here, and then after that, I just top this off with some more alcohol, and that way, that will always be full. We just throw in a little bit of vanilla extract, and there we go. Then we move on to the next step, and that little bit of liquid helps to, again, make these wet ingredients more, well, wet and mix together. Boy, this is hard, isn't it? Gee, I think maybe after this I'll just give up and go and spend $15 at Walmart for a cookie that's going to be maybe half the size and nowhere near as tasty. Okay. I put my eggshells in my coffee. It cuts down the acid levels. Well, that's an interesting idea, and may actually have to consider that. Other than that, we have, yeah, there we go. Okay, oh yeah, I can't forget the other chocolate chips as well. However, now it's time to put the wet ingredients into the dry ingredients. And then we are ready to mix it all together. Nothing to it, as I've said enough times already. Just don't drop the bowl. Which is I'm sure I've done that in the past. Pretty much if there's any way to mess it up, I'm sure I have done it. So, just a little bit more. And a reminder that we are making cookie dough here. We are not making cake batter. So it is going to be very thick. And that is how it's supposed to be. Okay. Can't resist. Now for the next step. Just mix it all together. Essentially, use this spatula as much as I can. It will eventually congeal and become too thick to stir like this. And when that happens, it's time to just move in with my hands and start kneading. If you're making this cookie with kids, I'm sure that's the step they probably like, because they get to squish it between their fingers. Yeah, this is, of course, one of those things that you really should make with kids as well. Not just to show them how easy it is, but of course, they'll be more proud of it and they'll be more likely to eat it if they've actually made it themselves. And it really doesn't take a lot of mixing to incorporate all these things together, does it? We're almost at that point already. So, once we get to the point where it does not look like we can mix anymore, that is when we just dig in. And we are almost there. Just give me a moment. All right. Let's see here. Robbie Takami, if I'm pronouncing that right. Good morning. Happy to see your channel doing well. I'm cooking breakfast in a cast iron skillet and listening and watching your cookie. Oh, yeah. I'm sure breakfast is going to be good pretty much no matter what it is because you're making it in cast iron. However, I think I will not just say that as a joke. I mean, you know very well how cast iron seems to make everything better. And having done that, a little bit here, a little bit there, get rid of this excess. in we go with our hands. I have seen some other videos where they make these cookies, and they don't exactly do it quite this way either. They don't get in with their hands. They entirely use a mixer, or it does have a different consistency, which is all fine. So far, I like how my cookies have turned out, and I have not received any complaints about the recipe. So I like to think I am doing okay. Here we go. Yeah, you better believe I gotta lick the spatula. And now, for the fun part. It's really only a matter just that of kneading it all together. And once that's done, we will have ourselves a cookie dough. And then finally, will come the chocolate. I guess. Chocolate. My roommate is a chocoholic, and she's going to be coming to the birthday party, of course, so she will be able to gorge. Each time I have made one of these giant cookies, there have been plenty of leftovers. As much as people like chocolate, it seems like, yes, there is such a thing as too much chocolate, which means, of course, all the more leftovers. And that sure wasn't hard, was it? Don't even have to knead it very much. It looks still a little bit crumbly, but again, let me remind you again, we are not making a cake batter. We are making cookie dough. And when this bakes, it will actually melt slightly, and it will fill up the pan with no difficulty at all. So, now that we've done that, hands, and then, once again, here comes the chocolate. This was 7 ounces of chopped chocolate, and here is where I'm very glad that we kept it nice and cold, because, it would melt very quickly. It probably will melt very quickly, in fact, but it's much better in this form, in these little frozen chunks, so that it's easy to completely mix it throughout our cookie. Nom nom nom. Gosh, if there are any extra little pieces left over, well, gosh, we'll just have to get rid of those, won't we? What a shame. And that sure didn't take very long either, did it? Now that we've done this, here comes the last step. Once again, I better wash my hands quickly. And as you can see, this is not taking very long either. In fact, it's taking longer than it should, especially because I'm doing this live. If I were to just do it, without having to talk constantly, it would probably take even half this time. Now the last step is the chocolate chips. In this case, oh dear, it looks like we've got mini chocolate chips. Oops. Oh well. Guess we'll have to live with it. Leaving some to spread across the top. These I kept in the fridge as well for the past couple of days or so. So again, they're nice and cold. I guess that's probably the best advice I think I could give. Namely, that keep your chocolate cold. Otherwise, it will start to melt, and then that makes it very difficult to handle, especially to incorporate into the dough here. And in fact, there we go. Yeah, I didn't even realize I had gotten mini chocolate chips. I hope While it's still going to be a nice cookie, I'm hoping that we actually have chocolate chips at the end. Well, we will just have to deal with it. It's too late now. And I'm sure people are thinking, oh, gee, what a shame. We'll just have to eat all those chocolate chips. Yep, I guess we will. And that didn't take long yet at all, did it? Which means, once more, very quickly, wash my hands. And then we will put this aside. Might even put this in the fridge for a few minutes. Except I don't think I have room in the fridge, so I'll just put it over here away from the oven and the heat. Because now that we've done that, clean this off a little bit, it's time to bring out chocolate. Time to bring out the star of the show. I'm sure you folks have seen our friend before, and I'm glad to bring him out once again. Say hello, everyone, to Stumpy. I've talked about Stumpy a number of times before. He's shown up in quite a few of these videos, and yeah, he is definitely one of my favorite kitchen users. This, of course, is a number 14 size cast iron skillet from Birmingham Stove and Range. It is a made in USA mark, which means Stumpy here is probably about as old as I am, like from the 60s to the early 70s or so. And the main reason why he is Stumpy is, well, number one, of course, is how his handle compares to the whole rest of the pan, but also because he has a casting flaw. This little bit here off the end, which must have been done, which must have happened right when the pan was being actually being made during the manufacturing process, because these things here, cast iron cracks, cast iron breaks. I really can't see any way that a cast iron pan would actually break off a little chip like this from the bottom. Therefore, I'm thinking this is more of a casting flaw. But because of that and the other, Stumpy here, that's why I gave him that name. He has performed admirably since I've had him. Time for Crisco, by the way. And so, if you believe in objects like this, when you give them a name, that they develop a personality, and I'd say there's some evidence for that. He must like the name because he has, as I said, performed about as well as you could expect. And here he is now for the third year in a row. Stumpy is baking my godson's giant birthday cookie. Unfortunately, it is true, Stumpy here is a spinner. He is actually warped in the center. Fortunately, we're going to be baking and not frying or anything like that. So even though there would be a hot spot in the center if it was on the stove, that really doesn't matter much here. And in fact, if anything, being a spinner makes it easy for me to turn the pan around like that. So as far as I feel that he is an excellent baking dish. And that's why I'm more than happy to bring out old Stumpy here once again. One other thing. I know you saw that there was a number 14 on the bottom of the pan, whereas BSR, a lot of people think that would mean he's from the Red Mountain series from the 1930s to the 1960s. Well, the Made in USA mark definitely shows he is a Century Series pan, 1960s to 1970s at least. It's also known that, especially with the number 12 and number 14 larger pans, BSR continued to use the same patterns for some time, maybe a few years or so after they switched over to their new automated production. So that's why this pan only has the number 14 on the bottom and not NO number 14. Anyway, one more time, wash my hands. Hot, too hot. Ow. Forgetting, one thing my apartment does have is really good hot water. And then all we have to do now is spread out the dough. Great sides for stir frying on Stumpy as well. Absolutely, no arguments there. Somebody speaking in Russian, which I cannot understand, unfortunately. This might be really good with some walnuts and pecans. Yeah. Oh, yeah, I don't doubt it at all. But I mean, especially because I'm doing this for a crowd, I'm going to be nice and simple. I don't know if anybody has a nut allergy or not anyway. So, I made a mini skillet cookie a few nights ago in my Wagnerware 5-inch. That sounds good right there. Okay, no more wasting time. Let us bring out the dough. Plop. And now that we've done that, all that needs to be done is to spread out the dough. And as you can see, that amount there makes so much dough that there is absolutely no difficulty at all filling up a giant pan like this one here. So that's what I mean. This is so simple. As they might say, so simple a child could do it, or so simple a caveman could do it, or yes, it is actually. And that is one reason why these giant cookies are one of many wonderful things that you really should make with kids. I was lucky enough to make this with a 6-year-old last year on a trip to New York as well. So I just push this over to the side a little bit. There we go. That sure didn't take long at all, did it? Nope, not quite. There we go. Still showing up a little bit. There we go. And as you can see, I really did not even have to do a lot of kneading either. Again, once this bakes, the little butter pieces in the batter will melt and it will be distributed through the cookie. So there should not be any difficulty at all. Now that we have done so, all we need to do now is spread the last of those chocolate chips over the top. To take this over the top, which means we just spread them out. And push them down. And with that, old Stumpy here is ready to go into the oven. Unfortunately, I'm not going to keep this live on all that time because I do have to get ready for the party, It's early morning. I still have to clean up and shower and everything like that. Yes, I did use clean hands, though. But by the time but of course, when he comes out of the oven, I will indeed include I include plenty of photos for everyone. But nonetheless, that's how easy it is. Anthropomorphic pans. Well, you never know. I mean, people assign personalities to a whole bunch of things, especially pretty much. Or the joke is if you give your cast iron pans names like Big Bertha or Old Smoky or Stumpy, you might have cast ironitis. And of course, there are the people who give names to their cars and give names to their guns and give names to pretty much whatever their favorite objects are. So Stumpy here is hardly alone in that respect. And having said that, let's get this into the oven, which means I'm going to move my camera over. There we go. And in we go. And in we go. Bam. And there we go. And that, as I said, is how easy it is to make a giant cookie in a cast iron pan. Again, I could have just gone to Wally World, paid anywhere from $10 to $20, and gotten a cookie, what they call a giant cookie, that might be half the size and probably less than half the thickness of the one that we're making here. But why do that when it's this easy. Something, as I said, you don't even need a giant cast iron pan, but it helps. You can use this again on a cookie sheet, in a casserole dish. We'll lay out a couple of sheets of thick aluminum foil and spread the batter around over that. However you want to do it, it is that easy to, hey, use a pie pan, for instance. It is that easy to make yourself a giant cookie. And once you do that, yeah, as I said, I have to present this in advance so that I don't compete with the birthday cake, because it's probably better than the birthday cake. Sorry, Mama Bear. But that's really about it. I mean, again, there we go. We've got some cast iron baking going on. And I appreciate very much the people who have shown up here. This this cookie will be baking in the oven for medium. What ingredients? Bake in your pan for 30 minutes. If you're using a 15-inch skillet to make a really big cookie, bake it for 40 minutes at 325 degrees. So it is right now 8:47. That means 9:20, just about 9:30 a.m. this morning, cookie will be done, and I'll take them out and start cooling it off. And then on to the party. Once again, as I said, all I can do is thank you, everybody, for showing up. I appreciate your comments. That's really what makes these things a lot of fun. So, and Robbie attacking me as well. Thank you for sharing with us today. Well, yeah, I'm more than happy to, because as I said, this is so much fun. Thank you, everybody, for watching and showing up and commenting on this. All right. So we have done what we need to do. There will be photos when the cookie is done, and photos from the birthday party. So everybody, have yourself a good Saturday, folks. Enjoy yourselves, and have a good day.